So you want to make more gym sales and grow your gym. In this video, I'm going to give you the 5 strategies you can use to grow your gym without the gimmicks, without the hype, without the discounts, without the free trials, and without having to spend a fortune on ads. My name is Coach Will with BigLittleGyms.com, and I actively work with over 600 gyms in over 200 different cities around the globe to help them grow and build better, thriving businesses. I'm a successful entrepreneur and a 2-time decade-long gym owner. I grew my gyms to multiple millions of dollars in revenue, and now I give all that information on how I did it away for free on the internet, which leads me to the subject of today's video. The 5 steps that you can use to grow your gym without having to run the bait and switch, gimmicky marketing campaigns you see all the other gurus out there on the internet talking about. But before we do, I need you to do me a favor. Click the like button below, subscribe, and click the notification bell for the YouTube algorithm. It'll really help me know that this video is valuable to you and to keep making more valuable content like this. So the first thing you need to figure out is, what is your goal? A lot of gym owners will say things like, well, I suppose I'd really like to have another 20 members, but in order to get more members, we need to have more bookings for people who actually want to come down to our gym and talk to us and check the place out and consider doing business with us. In order to get more bookings, we need to have more leads. And in order to get more leads, we need to have traffic and an audience. So let's break down those numbers in reverse first, so we know what we got to do to hit our membership goals. And second, how to optimize each step for the outcome we are after. All right, guys, so we're going to dive into what's called the gym marketing funnel, and we're going to go over the numbers of what we should expect to be seeing at each stage of the lead generation and sales process for a gym. Okay, so we got the screen share up here, and we're looking at this, and what we have here is the different stages upon which the buyer journey occurs for a new member of a gym. And we talk about a gym, this really can apply to almost any type of gym. Most of the gyms that I work with are independently owned, group-based fitness gyms. So a lot of the context I'm going to use is going to be around selling memberships at those type of gyms, CrossFit gyms, martial arts gyms, boot camp gyms, functional fitness gyms. But this would also work just fine at any big box gym. In fact, this would almost apply to almost any business where you're using an appointment-based sales model, because that's really what you should be doing at the gym, right? You're not really gaining leads with the intention to try to sell things to people over the phone. Really what you're trying to do is get the appointment booked. You're trying to sell the appointment to get the person in the gym. Because if there's one thing I know, after talking to over 1,000 gyms, I've done over 1,000 discovery calls with independent group-based gym owners and some franchise gym owners and some big box gym owners. I've even done consulting for big brands like F45 and Orange Theory. And as I talk to them, what I learn is that most of the people that walk in the door at most gyms are going to sign up. They're going to sell them. Most gym owners will pride themselves on their sales ability and say, oh, I close 8 or 9 out of 10 people that walk in the door, which is probably true, right? But we're going to go ahead and go through the numbers here, because at the end of the day, if we have a certain goal, then we can reverse engineer the other steps that help get us to that goal, right? So looking at the gym, the gym marketing funnel here, if we look down here in the bottom of the orange, this is our goal, right? These are converted either trial or first month members, right? These are people that have signed on the dotted line and given us money to start at our gym, right? But in order for them to get there, there's a couple other stages that they need to go through to get to us, right? They have to obviously show up at our gym, which is the yellow stage here. They have to also set an appointment at our gym, and hopefully at your gym, you are how you're running your sales and how you're doing your follow-up is using an appointment setting model, right? And that doesn't mean necessarily using other appointment setters that other people are providing. It might just be doing your own appointment setting, right? Like ultimately what you're doing is, when you're getting leads and you're doing prospecting, what you're trying to do is set the appointment for them to come down and talk to you. The reason why you want to do this, for those of you that aren't doing this, is ultimately you're not going to get very far trying to justify price over the phone. Most group-based gyms, CrossFit gyms, functional fitness gyms, boot camp gyms, are not going to be low price leaders. Even if you're $100 a month, which would be considered very, very low for a group-based fitness gym, you would still be 2 or 3 times as high as the big box gym that's selling memberships for $30. Now you might say, oh, I don't really compete with them. But the reality is, yes, you do. Because if you are a gym that serves general population people off the couch, those people, when they go to search for a gym on Google or whatever they're looking, when they're on local search, they're going to just type in words like gym near me or gyms, and they're going to see who Google serves up as the top ranked gyms. And they're ultimately going to consider all of them, right? They're going to consider just big box access style gyms. They're going to consider the group model gyms. They're going to consider niche fitness types of gyms. They're going to consider everything because ultimately at the end of the day, they want to, people love variety and they love to shop a little bit, right? So ultimately your goal is not in your follow-up process to be trying to sell things in the follow-up process. What you're ultimately trying to do is get them booked to come in the door. So that's the green step here is your appointment setting stage, right? Above that, you have the blue section here, which is your lead generation. That's someone actually going through your website and raising your hand, right? That's like when you are looking to maybe have like an interior designer come to your house. If you're just on their website looking, you're not a lead, right? It's when you go ahead and fill out the form on their site to request a consult for their services. That's when you become a lead, right? That's what we're talking about when we say leads. Leads are not people watching a TikTok video. There are some gym gurus out there that will use the word leads. They'll say that we'll help you get you 1,000 leads in a month. And what they might be talking about is people just subscribing to like your YouTube channel. In my opinion, and in most people's opinion, those are not leads. Those are just followers. Those are audience, which more is in this top step here, this purple stage here. That is traffic. That is visitors from all sources. That is what we call impressions and eyeballs, people landing on and seeing your stuff, right? Now, after working with over 1,000 gyms in the last 5 years, running my own gyms for a decade, running several other local service-based businesses that were very successful businesses, we've been able to figure out what the numbers are, right? We've been able to track the numbers for all the best gyms. What do we normally see for like lead generation, page conversion rates? What do we normally see for appointment setting rates? And what do we normally see for showed rates and then converted sales rates, right? Now, it's very important to know these numbers because at the end of the day, if you have a goal like 20 members, you can simply reverse engineer the math to learn, okay, if we close at a certain rate, how many people need to show up? And then if we know a certain number of people show up, how many of them need to be booking? And then if we know how many are booking, how many leads do we need to get that number of bookings? And then if we know how many leads we need to get that number of bookings, we can say how much traffic do we need to feed into the top of this funnel to ultimately get our end goal of X number of members. In this case, it might be 20, right? So let's go ahead and talk about what those KPIs are, right? So KPIs are a fancy word that that gurus love to throw around to sound smart, right? I use the word too. What it stands for is key performance indicators, right? It's really just a fancy way of saying like, this is like what you should average, right? Like if you played baseball, it's your batting average, right? Like this is what you should hit. And if you're below this, that means you're not doing very good, right? So for sales, we're going to start from the bottom up, right? For sales, most gyms are closing 80+% of the people that show up in their doors, right? Now, this is a very, very high close rate. And one of the things that we tend to approach with the gyms that we work with here at Big Little Gyms that often needs approached is pricing. Most gyms are often way underpriced. They don't have a very good offer. They don't know how to sell the offer. They don't know how to build value in the offer. And they don't know how to do a proper what we call no sweat intro. So that's what our gyms do here at Big Little Gyms is when they join Big Little Gyms, we have them go through our model, the no sweat intro process, which is a way of constructing your offer using sales psychology, helping meet the prospect where they're at to help them arrive at the pain points, have them talk about their desired situation, help bridge the gap between those things and their why to attach the reason for making the decision today to their bigger why versus who's the cheapest in town or who is just offering the cheapest fitness offering. At the end of the day, if they know they can get on the other side of that gap and you own the bridge that can help them get that there, then they're going to pay the price you ask if the outcome is worth more than the price you ask, right? So at the end of the day, if you're selling a $500 front-end offer, which we have gyms all the time selling a $500 front-end offer, closing as the same rate that they were when they were selling a $150 offer, just after figuring out how to build value in that, how to have this conversation, how to do the no sweat intro process the way that converts in the best way possible. Now, oftentimes when gyms start running a higher ticket membership, they see the close rate go down a little bit. They'll see it go up to about 70%. And actually, it's what we shoot for. We know that if a gym is selling 8 or 9 out of 10 people that they're talking to, that means that they're probably underpriced and that we can afford to go up in price. In fact, that's pretty common in almost all walks of business is if your demand is so high that you can't keep up with it, you don't have enough supply, that means you need to raise the price, right? So long story short, we're shooting for a 70+% close rate here of the people that show up in the door, right? Okay. Now, the yellow stage here, the showed stage, right? So what we're looking at here now, what you're going to see is you're going to see two numbers. This is important because not a lot of people talk about this. You'll hear, again, all these gurus on the internet that don't really know what they're doing because they haven't really done it with that many people, or they're selling some sort of magical sauce and they don't want to get into more detail or give you their secrets. But there's really two sets of numbers here up until the sale. There's a number for if you're getting the traffic from organic sources and traffic from paid sources. And the reason why there's two different numbers is because organic traffic is much, much higher and the buyers are much, much more intentful, right? Paid traffic, you're going to see a much lower number across the board, across all stages. In almost any gym out there, if you're watching this, you've run a lot of ads, then you know what I'm talking about, especially if you've been running them more recently and have run them in the past when it used to be a lot better. If you would have been running Facebook ads 5 or 6, 7 years ago, the leads were almost as good as organic. But then as that platform became more saturated, it became more competitive, people became more skeptical of the offers on it. And also the platform just made it easier for the leads to opt in, which ultimately just created more leads, but often leads that are more skeptical and much, much colder, right? Versus when you have organic traffic coming from things like local search, word of mouth, and other type of like referral programs, reactivation campaigns, those leads tend to be much, much more intentful and both opt in, book and show and close at a much, much higher rate, right? So we're going to talk about both numbers, right? Okay, so at the showed stage, you're really looking at about 80% of your appointments set are going to show, right? So if you book 10 appointments and those are all organic, then 80% of those are probably going to show up. So 8 out of 10 would show up in that scenario, right? If it's paid traffic, you're going to see a higher rate of no-show. And we see this all the time. We have playbooks for gyms to run ads on Facebook at a really nice low cost per lead, $3, $4, $5 per lead. And in training our gym owners on how to run that playbook, or even if we're running ads for them, one of the things we will prepare them for is a higher no-show rate. It's going to happen. It's part of the math. At the end of the day, you're going to always see that. And that's not unique to ads. A lot of gym owners that haven't been in business a long time or haven't learned a lot about marketing outside of just doing it for the gyms don't know that, like, historically, different traffic sources are going to yield different results. And it's part of the process to accept what that traffic source is going to give you and learn how to work with those numbers, right? So running paid ads has always been that way, even before the internet, right? Naturally, if someone, 20 years ago, before people were shopping for things on the internet, would have heard about you from a friend or drove by walked past your gym a dozen times over the course of a couple of weeks, going to the grocery store and saw your gym and their friend told them about it, that's a really hot organic lead. That's like local search on the internet these days. And then if that same person, say they didn't do all that, and the only way they saw you was from a billboard on the side of the road, and they just kept seeing the billboard over and over again, and the billboard was a buy my stuff, limited spots, buy my stuff, limited spots, urgency, urgency, scarcity, scarcity, that person might opt in and become a lead, but they're going to be much less responsive. They're going to be much more skeptical. They're just going to be colder in general. So we'll get a lot of gym owners coming to us thinking that you could somehow close the gap between organic and paid, when in reality, paid, part of running paid traffic is understanding that you're going to have to work harder on the follow-up and accept lower conversion rates at all stages. Ultimately, that's all the more reason to focus more on organic. And that's one of the things that we see a lot of success with the gyms we work with here at Big Little Gyms is we focus on getting the organic up and going. And when I talk about organic, I'm talking about local search, SEO, higher page conversion rates on their website, making sure more people locally can find them. Because in most areas, terms like gyms and gyms near me have several thousand search views per month for people looking for those search terms. And those businesses that show up at the top of those searches in the top 3 to 5 are usually getting the lion's share of the clicks. And those leads that come from local search are often very intentful, very warm to very hot buyers. And the close rate on those leads is much, much higher, sometimes 2 or 3x as high as the traffic you get from paid traffic. Okay. All right. So going back to the funnel here, appointment setting, you're going to book, if they're organic leads, you're probably going to book about half the leads you get for an appointment to come and join your gym. So about 50%, right? From paid, it's going to be about 30%, maybe lower. When we have gyms running Facebook ads, or Instagram ads, or even sometimes Google ads, you will just see a much lower appointment setting rate with those leads. And the reason why is because, again, they're colder, but ultimately they're just less responsive. And anytime you're running an ad where it's just showing up and interrupting their feed all the time, they're going to click on it and fill that stuff out, and they're just going to like not respond back to you. It's likely going to happen. Versus a person coming in through organic sources is ultimately going to be very responsive because they're searching for what you're selling, right? Someone that finds you through a local search on one of those local search platforms, Google, for example, they ultimately, are searching for what you're selling. They are literally pulling up their phone, taking the time to type that in on their keyboard, and then they see who the options are, and they see the reviews. They eliminate the ones that don't look like they have substantial enough authority or reviews or relevance to consider, and they're going to probably click on the first 3 or 4 that show up there and put an opt-in, right? And it's ultimately going to be those who get back to them first that are going to win. So that's one of the things that we notice makes a big, big difference right now in these days. Ultimately, especially with organic and paid, and probably even more so with paid. Because here's the thing about running paid ads and doing good appointment setting with paid ad leads. And same with organic, is that what you have to understand about the ad platforms is when you're running ads, they're not just seeing your ad. If you ever go on any of these platforms, on social media or any of these platforms, if you have been looking at anything or in the consideration phase or shopping for something, you're going to get ads for that thing. If you happen to click on a certain product's website and look at their stuff, you're going to get retargeting ads for that thing. But what you're also going to get is cold ads from other companies that that sell the same thing for you to consider. And we've all seen this where, like, a good example was last year we were looking for a mattress. So I clicked on a couple websites for mattresses, and I started getting retargeting ads for those mattresses. But Facebook knows that I'm looking for mattresses. So what does it do? It shows me the other 4 or 5 companies that are paying to compete with that ad in the ad space. So the same thing is happening when you're running ads on Facebook or Instagram, on TikTok, on Google, on any of these platforms. If they're seeing your ad that you're paying for and they're clicking it and they're filling out that form, then they're also seeing your competitors' ads, right? And so what'll happen, and we have gym owners that we work with that are really slow to follow up with the leads. Now, we'll put automation stuff in place. We'll put a CRM in place for them. It's part of working with our companies. We build all the lead generation funnel out for you. We host website, lead generation, CRM, automations, AI, all these things. And that will help a lot with the speed to lead. But ultimately what works best and will continue to work best is picking up the phone. And we found the gym owners that pick up the phone and call the leads the fastest will almost always have good campaigns. And then the gym owners that are complaining about the leads being bad often are slow and taking their time and also just not doing good follow-up overall. Now, the gym owner, there's 2 different things going on there. And what will happen is the gym owner that's getting poor results, he will say the leads are bad, right? But what's really happening is a percentage of those leads that are still good, because don't get me wrong, there are a higher percentage of very, very cold. I don't like to call them bad leads because there's no such thing as bad leads. They're just cold leads. They might just take longer to warm up. They may not even respond to you early on, but it's another, Gary Vee likes to talk about jab, 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 right hook. It's just another jab, right? For them to opt in. They may ghost you. They may not respond to your stuff. They might even book an appointment and no show. But that doesn't mean down the road that they won't buy, if you'll even consider doing a business with them at that point. For me, if someone no-shows an appointment with me, generally I don't reschedule with them. But either way, it's a step in the right direction. And ultimately, the gyms that are complaining of the leads being bad, ultimately none of them being good, what's happening sometimes when they're not picking up the phone is because your competitor already called them. And almost none of these gym owners will pause to think for a second, and maybe I got beat here. They'll just say the leads are bad. And in reality, what's happened is the guy down the road already called them, right? And if we put ourselves in their position, and we all do it, right? When we're shopping for things, if we're shopping for countertops and we put contact information out for 3 or 4 or 5 countertop companies to call us, the first one that calls me back is probably going to win as long as he's somewhat competitive. And the reason why is because, I don't want to have the conversation 5 times, even though I put 5 leads out there. The first guy and maybe the second guy, the third guy would be lucky if he even makes it over to my house for a quote, because by then I'm just worn out. And you got to understand like the weight of the decision, right? Like buying a countertop, something you only do once a decade in your house, pretty big decision. So when you make it, like it's a lot that weighs on you, right? Joining a gym, and especially the type of gyms that a lot of you watching these videos have, a group fitness-based, community-based gym where they're gonna, build relationships and bonds and probably have to go through a lot to get their body in a position where it's not sore all the time and adjust to it. That's a big commitment. That's very similar to like the countertops every 10 years at our house kind of thing. It's a heavy discussion, right? They don't want to have it multiple times. So ultimately it's speed to lead that's going to help close this gap between the lead generation side and the appointment setting side of things, right? And then here at the top, from traffic to lead generation, your conversion rates are going to look something like this. And this does vary quite a bit. This can vary a lot depending on the season. This is just ballpark, right? So you're probably going to convert about 10% of the traffic that you get from organic sources if your stuff is built for lead generation. This is one of the things that we see the biggest uptick with the gyms that we work with here at Big Little Gyms is often they'll come to us and we'll go through all their marketing stuff and we'll go through their website and their lead generation stuff. And it is not built for lead generation. It is very clunky. It is like a brochure. And I always ask people this question of like, what do people do with brochures? They throw them out. They throw them into the next trash can they walk past. Nobody buys anything from a brochure outside of maybe a couple things. Like we just don't do it. Brochures are just something to maybe like keep the brand in front of you, but no one actually buys anything from brochures, right? And so at the end of the day, like if your website is not built for lead generation, what's going to happen is you're going to have a leak right there. You're going to convert it at a very, very small rate. Most of the gyms that we work with here at Big Little Gyms will come to us with their website converting at 1 or 2% of the traffic they're getting, and then we'll rebuild all their funnel and their lead generation stuff and their website, and we'll build their lead generation, their website, not only for better SEO and better search engine optimization, which helps it rank better and get more traffic, but we'll also build the site to where it converts 4 to 5x the number of leads that they're currently getting. And this includes professionally built websites by other agencies. You would be surprised the number of agencies that still use dated website design principles. The stuff that worked 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, and the stuff that looks like stuff 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago with all the navigation bar, all the things to click on, all these distractions, all these trap doors, we call them, all of those things cost you leads because these days people spend about 18 seconds on a website. Just 5 years ago, they were spending over a minute on a website. A decade ago, they used to spend more than 2 minutes on a website. So their attention span on the website is shrinking. Plus, most of what they needed to see about you, they're already seeing before they land on your website, right? So the website needs to be built to be efficient and frictionless and built specifically for lead generation. And that's why you should work with a company that knows lead generation very, very well and knows how to optimize for it, especially for your specific niche, which if you work with gyms, then you should absolutely consider working with a company like us here at Big Little Gyms because the cost of what we do, what it costs you, the opportunity cost is really great, right? If there's just 4 or 5 people a month you're not getting from your website from good organic traffic because your website's just clunky and doesn't have good lead generation, that is worth tens of thousands of dollars a year in revenue to your business. And what it costs to work with a company like ours, like Big Little Gyms, we're one of the best. We are absolutely the best value, far and away, to work with in the entire gym sphere as far as growth systems, mentorship, all these things, and we include all these systems. And you will easily see a 4 or 5x return on this stuff month over month in a very, very short period of time. And that's not me just trying to, I'm not trying to sell you. Of course I'm trying to sell you. Otherwise we wouldn't be making this video. Let's not pretend like gurus aren't trying to sell stuff. We absolutely are in business to do business, but we do it with integrity and the intention for our clients to win, because the only way we make any substantial amount of money working with our clients is over the long term. We're not one of these clients that's going to hit you over the head with a $20,000 hammer. We are a business that we want to make sure you're getting wins, because if you are getting wins, you are going to continue to be a client for a long time. And that's how we've built our customer base to over 600 clients. We have clients that have been with us for 3, 4, 5 years that are still getting 4 or 5x month over month returns on what the systems we have in place for them in their business. It just makes sense to not tinker and have stuff done by a professional, right? So if you're working with a company like ours, we're shooting for a 10% organic page conversion rate, if not higher, depending on your market and depending on the season. Now, if you're running paid traffic, you're probably looking at a 2% page conversion rate. And this is often, when I say 2% page conversion rate, this is often coming off of like Facebook. Like, what's the click-through rate would be considered like your page conversion rate, or like your lead opt-in rate. Like, what's your I guess your opt-in page conversion rate is usually about 2% is what we see, right? And then traffic here would be what these numbers are all based off, right? So of the traffic you get, 10% of that traffic should opt in if it's organic, if it's all of your lead generation is done well. 2% of it if it's from paid traffic, right? So if you have 1,000 visitors, you're going to have about 100 leads if you have great lead generation stuff, and you're going to have about 100 leads off that, and you're hitting 10%. If you're getting it from paid and you have 1,000 page visitors, you're probably going to convert about 20 leads, right? And then from there, about 50% of those are going to book if they're organic, 30% if they're from paid, 80% are going to show if they're from organic, 60% if they're paid. And then once they show up, the close rate's about the same for most gyms, 70, 80%, somewhere in there, right? So we can use the use case example here because this is really, really common for gyms to come to us with a specific growth goal in mind, right? And most of our gyms that come to us aren't like these gyms that you see the hypey ads for. 100 members in 30 days. Most gyms we work with, smaller mom and pop gyms that would love to just grow at a rate of like 5, 10, 15, 20 members per month. They're not trying to get 100 members a month because they can't even serve 100 members all at once, brand new members all at once in 1 month. They want to grow steadily month over month and continue to outpace churn and have a good base of clients that stays for 2, 3, 4 years at a time. Ultimately, what the best gym owners that we work with are aiming for is what we call mailbox money, right? Like at the end of the day, most of you guys who open this, if you are about your money and you're very entrepreneurial and you're very business oriented, as am I. Like I've started multiple successful projects and businesses, and they've all been successful. Some of them to the tunes of multiple millions per year. Things outside of the gym world, I've owned all kinds of companies. I have a sales background, and I love selling things. But when I opened my gym, I did want to make money. But it wasn't just about making money. It was about building a really, really great community that there was a tribe, right? People that depended on this community, not just for their fitness, but also for their community, their bond, their friendships, their relationships, to have new experiences, to have a little bit of variety in their life, in their workouts, and in their the people that they're working out with every day, to have some sense of belonging. Because most people going to a gym, half of the reason they don't work out at home is because they just want to be around other people, because most people in their lives and in their jobs just aren't around like-minded people enough, right? They want recognition, they want status, they want to be able to achieve things and have other people see them achieve things and recognize things. And they also want a little bit of like relief from the day-to-day just pain of life, right? They just want to escape a little bit. That's why they work out of the gym. And that's why I started my gyms. I started my first gym while I had a $5 million a year multi-state wholesale and landscaping installation company. I didn't need to start a gym. I started a gym because I loved it. I happened to be a businessman, so I also wanted to run good business, which is why I do what I do now at Big Little Gyms. Is I just love the business side of things, but I also just love fitness and what it can do for people, and ultimately for our communities and for our tribes. And ultimately, the reason why Big Little Gyms exists is because we want to change as many lives as possible. And we can do that through the leverage of serving your gym in your community and helping you attract your tribe. And then that's a win-win-win. And that's ultimately what we're looking for here, right? So most of the gyms we work with have goals, but they're humble in comparison to a lot of other businesses, because ultimately, if you chose to open one of these gyms, you didn't do it because you just want to make millions of dollars. There's a lot of other ways that you could have made millions of dollars that are much, much easier to do than start a brick and mortar fitness studio where you have all the, despite all the good sides I mentioned a few minutes ago, it has its things. And it can be stressful personalities, the ups and downs of the seasons, it being a local based business and just getting the word out and getting found locally and having people know about you. It's just a lot of work in general. So the goals are usually pretty humble, but stable, right? They want sustainability and predictability. So over here, just looking at the organic funnel flow and the paid funnel flow, just breaking it down for the average gym that maybe wants to get 20 members a month, right? Say your goal is 20 members a month, And you have two different ways you can do it, paid and organic. And honestly, for most gyms, it's like actually a combination. It's not one or the other. It's a shade of gray, right? Ideally, organic is running as good as it can, and you're doing all the things organic. And one of the things that we do here at Big Little Gyms is when our gyms work with us, we have a whole model for organic that we implement, and we have a checklist, and we have several things that we do for you in building your marketing funnel around SEO and local search and locally generating as much traffic as we can locally. We're very, very good at getting gyms to like the top 1, 2, 3 spots on Google for the broadest, highest traffic search terms in their area, which when you do that, you open up the floodgates, and a lot of gyms don't even need to run paid traffic if their goals are like 10, 15, 20 members a month. Would they put our stuff in place? That's very, very common, right? And that ultimately is the goal for a lot of the gyms we work with. A lot of gyms we work with do just rely on just organic traffic they get. But you might decide to run paid as well. So I'm going to go over both, okay? So you have here, if the goal, the organic funnel flow here in the green box, if your goal is 20 members, based on these numbers here, if you have everything set up properly, you should need about 28 shown appointments. 28 people need to walk in the door this month if your goal is to close 20 members, right? And it's important to know these numbers because you can't just make a number, you can't just pull a number like 20 out of a hat and just expect it to show up. You need to know the downstream numbers and how good they need to be. And if you know that, then you can go ahead and do those steps, and it brings it down to earth for you as the gym owner, right? So 20 new members right here. It would require 28 shows if you're getting a show rate of 80%. Now, that's going to require you to have 36 bookings if you're getting a 50% booking rate, 36 bookings here. And then up here, a step further up, that means we're going to need about 72 leads because we're booking about half of our leads, right? 50% of organic. So organically, we need about 72 leads to close 20 new members. And that's if you have great follow-up and appointment setting processes, which if you work here with us here at Big Little Gyms, we will implement and give you process for your people and for you, but also automate with using AI and things like that to help with appointment and setting, and also build your lead generation stuff to where it books more appointments for you in the funnel. So that way you're having to do less follow-up to book the appointments, right? So this is assuming all these things are done right. You need about 72 leads. And in order to get 72 leads, you need about 720 impressions, 720 people to land on your website, to like visit your website page. Now, what we do is we set up Google Analytics on all of the stuff that we build for our gyms. So that way on your dashboard, on your Big Little Gyms dashboard, you're going to be able to see like your traffic, your leads, your bookings, your shows, and your solds. And you're going to know your percentages all right there. And I love it. It's one of my favorite things that we do for our clients is having all this broken down for them so they can see like, are you up to performance on all these things? Because maybe you're getting 72 leads, but you're only booking 20 people. It would be very, very easy to triage this and say, you need to get better at your appointment setting. We need to look at the appointment setting side of things and improve this number. So we improve this number, it's going to improve this number and this number down the road, right? Okay, now paid traffic. Are you ready for this? Because the numbers are a lot different. It requires a lot more audience traffic to get 20 members from paid. That being said, what you give up in time it takes to earn organic positioning, you can make up for by spending the money on paid, right? So let's talk about what that looks like and what that costs. Okay, so 20 new members based on a 60% or a 70% close rate. That means you're going to need about 34. Actually, that should be the same as this one, actually. But we're going to go and roll with it. So you need around 34 shows, right, to get this number of closed members based on a 60% booking rate. I think this actually should be 28 right here. So we're going to fix that. There we go, because that's correct. Okay, so there we go. So 28 shows based on the 60% show rate. That means you need 40 bookings based on the 30% appointment booking rate of cold paid traffic. It means you need 114 leads. So instead of 72 leads, you need 114 leads to get your 20 new members from this, right? From paid traffic. Now, where it really gets crazy is on the impression side, because your conversion rate of traffic on paid leads, paid ads, is just so much lower. You need significantly more traffic, right? So you need about 5,700 impressions, visitors, to land on your website from paid traffic in order to get the 114 leads, the 40 bookings, the 28 shows, and the 20 new sales you're going to get, right? So now what does that cost, right? Obviously organic, largely free, right? Largely free. Obviously working with companies like mine to help do this has a nominal cost, significantly less expensive than than paying for paid ads. We also have systems and processes for paid ads as well that are also included to help you make sure you do those right and get the proper lead conversion rates and your cost per lead down. We even give you like the media and the copy and walk you step by step through setting up your ads and launching your ads, which is done for you. So, but here, if you have very, very good ads on the level of what we would give you here at Big Little Gyms, most markets you can get around $10 per lead ad cost, right? So if you have 114 leads and you're at about $10 per lead, then you're looking at about $1,140 in ad cost, right? So it's going to cost you about $1,140, and it's going to require you to have the highest level appointment setting skill, and it's going to require you to have very, very good sales skill here as well. So that's what you're looking at cost-wise, is about $1,100, maybe even more. Some markets, it's higher cost per lead. There's some markets, a lot of California markets, even with good ads, with really, really good media and very proven, you can be looking at $15, $20 cost per lead in some markets. But there's also some markets where you're looking at, $3, $4, $5 leads. We have some gyms that we work with in Texas, Florida, some states like that, where we're seeing leads coming in at $3, $4 per lead, which makes acquiring these 20 members significantly less expensive. You can get these 20 members on just $500 or $600 in ad spend, with a paid client acquisition funnel like we run here at Big Little Gyms for our clients, right? Okay. So ultimately the goal is here, guys, once you've converted the member, is long-term recurring revenue here, is getting the month-to-month recurring revenue. So part of that's in your sales process, is getting the member signed up for a recurring membership there, which is something that we show our gyms how to do the right way, so they're not having to resell the client after the first month or after the trial. That's one of the things a lot of gyms do wrong, is they sell a front-end offer or a trial or a first month, and they don't have the client on recurring. They have to resell the client, and you shouldn't do that. You should have in your sales process a process for just getting them on recurring right from the get-go. A lot of gyms, they struggle with figuring out how to do that. So we actually show you how to do that step by step and have a very, very good success rate with that. So that's it for today's videos, guys. If you found this video helpful and got even like just one gold nugget out of it, if this helped you at all, if you listen this far into it, I'm assuming that you really enjoyed this video and that this at least held your attention long enough to get you here 30 plus minutes in, then the one thing you can do for me to reciprocate for me is just click that like button down below the video, click the subscribe button, and then click that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime a new video rolls out. I am rolling these out weekly. Very high quality content. I'm putting a lot of effort into these videos. My goal this year is to put a lot of effort into longer form content that essentially is equivalent to what a lot of other gurus are going to charge you tens of thousands of dollars a year to be in their programs, to get just even a small percentage of what I'm giving you here. I've been in the back in a lot of these other gym gurus programs. I've had a lot of people leave other gym gurus programs, other masterminds, other gym growth programs, other agencies. I've had them come to our program and tell me about what they experienced over there. And they'll say, Will, your free stuff is better than their paid stuff. And that's always been my goal, is to give more for free than the other guys charge you for. And at the end of the day, that right there, that genuine authenticity, and bringing that to you guys and making sure I'm helping you without asking for anything outside of just that little like button click. At the end of the day, you can decide for yourself who you want to work with and who you want to do business with. And if you do want to have a discussion with me here at Big Little Gyms, have a discovery call. We operate very much in the up and up, very transparent. Go to biglittlegyms.com. When you go there, there's a get started button. You can click that button. Up will pop a form, just simple name, phone number, email. We'll use that to reach out to you and just follow up with you and answer any questions you have. On the page after that, though, it will give you the opportunity to book a discovery call with us. It's going to ask you a few questions. We do require you to apply because we just want to know a few things about you before we invite you onto the program, because we like to work with gym owners that are just ready and already in momentum and ready to do the work. We're not here to peddle magical fairy dust or anything like that. And we want to make sure that who we're working with is ready to do that. Also, just know a little bit about you, where you're currently starting at, and making sure that the goals that you have are something that we can help you with. At the end of the day, if we can't help you grow, we'll tell you. Our goal isn't like a lot of these other companies to try to just sell you and get your money anyway. We have 600 clients. What I can tell you with right now, just to help you lower your guard a little bit, is that in talking to us, you'll find out that we're very, very reasonably priced compared to a lot of other options out there. We're incredibly high value, but we also work with 600 active clients, and we're a multi-million-dollar company. So signing one more person, doing something that is deceitful and taking advantage of someone just to sell one more person at the expense of our reputation is just not something we're interested in. So at the end of the day, like, we're always going to be transparent and make sure that if we can help you and we believe we can help you and we tell you we can help you, that's because we genuinely know we can. And we'll make recommendations according from there. So go to biglittlegyms.com, fill out that form, book your discovery call, jump on that call with me. We'll go through. So it's really going to be about you on the call. It's really not about us. At the end of the day, like, you're the hero on the journey. We're just the guide. We just want to see where you're currently at on the journey and making sure that where you're trying to go in the journey is a place that we can help you get to. And if you can, then it's onward and upward and to the moon, baby. At the end of the day, that's our goal, is to help you grow. We love nothing more to see our clients winning. So that's it, guys. Thanks and have a great day. Click that like and notification bell, and we'll see you soon. Bye.